Hello, and welcome to the Soul Ashraya, a weekly Bhakti podcast where we seek the shelter and wisdom of our dear Lord Krishna through Shastra, prayer, and conversation. I am your host, Bhakti Jake. Joined with me is my friend and teacher, Balaram Shakti Das. How are things?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. How are things out in Arizona?
Things are wonderful. Really amazing week. Krishna never fails to deliver. Yeah, it's like last night I actually had an amazing conversation, probably like 4 hours, 5 hours, with one person in particular. A few people were also there. There's this one point though that just is coming to mind of like how sometimes on the path, right, the path of spiritual life, we can never stagnate on it. Actually, spiritual life means like it's active. You're always actively involved in it. It's not just like a passive, I believe, or no, what was that? Someone was translating this, Bible verse where it's translated as faith, like the fruits of the spirit, but the original word in the original translation was faithfulness. So the difference in that, it's subtle, but it's a big difference of like a passive attitude to an active, right, life. So fruit of the spirit is faithfulness. It's an active participation. And as soon as we kind of get lax, right, and say, oh, I don't have to read today, or I don't have to chant, you know, um, you know, really quality rounds. I have a lot to do, so maybe I'll just chant, at work or something. It doesn't seem like such a big deal. Oh man, okay, to call the person back, but it lets in these material modes is how Krishna explains, ignorance, namely ignorance of spiritual life. And so it's not like you just plateau and you're staying in the same place. If you stop moving, you start going backward, actually. So, we always have to be active, but it's just so wonderful. Even if you are plateauing and like taking, one step back, to just right around the corner, you're going to get a boost. Krishna is going to give you something. If you just stay the course, he'll give you that.
Yeah.
And so it's just been really wonderful. Yeah.
Nice. Good. Very good. So we
How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. I've been just it's been one of these really kind of very just really busy weeks for me, but it's going to be all right pretty soon. By the end of next week, everything should be all right, should be like back to somewhat normal. So yeah, I've been really concentrating on chanting my rounds and making quality rounds. I'm actually really surprised when I hear devotees say that, um, you know, things like, well, I can't talk on the phone now because I'm doing my rounds, stuff like that. It's like, dude, like I turn my phone right off, like when I'm chanting, it's like I close the door to like the world and just like, all right, I have this much time. I'm going to chant. And it's just all about time and just measuring it out so you can chant your rounds, and Well, I tell you, I could not make it through this week without doing that. I'll tell you that much. It was a challenging week, and there was just a lot going on. We're coming up on the busy season now, where there's going to be a lot of things going on. The Lilac Festival is here in Rochester, and I guess that you could call that like the beginning of festival season, and
Mm,
up here in New York, it's like everything happens in the summer, the winter
totally.
time, it just completely shuts down. So there's always going to be something going on. So, yeah, it's, I can't really wait for it to happen, actually. I'm looking forward to the summer, of course, like everyone else. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right. It's right around that time, start of June, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Prabhu, I'm really impressed by your dedication to quality rounds. That's so, so important. That's really the essence actually of everything, like the whole philosophy, the conclusion of all the scriptures is that you kind of fasten yourself to communion with God, chanting his name, um, like really entering into that, and that will be your anchor. There's no other way. There's no other way. I mean, the
Yeah.
scriptures say,
Yeah.
you know, there's no other way than chanting the holy name in this age of Kali,
Yeah.
to have that connection. It's like, could you imagine like having to do any more austere kind of yoga or other meditational process? It's like we don't have time or the bandwidth for that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But if we do, if we can simply bring ourselves to be present, just present with the holy name, that means it's a simple thing. It's a sublime and serious thing. It's an advanced thing in the sense of like really, quieting the mind and just being absorbed, right? But it's so simple as just hearing yourself chant. That is the essence of everything, because that is Krishna. And if we just accept, yeah, Krishna is, all powerful. He's in everything. He's invested his full potency in these names. He himself is there in the names, and I have to accept that this is how he's presenting himself to me. Like I'm at a very low level. It's not like if I were to chant Hare Krishna, then the clouds would part and angels would come, and God would descend. Be like, yes, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Like he's coming to me as these names,
Yeah.
right? He comes to us in many ways, but in these names. And so if we really accept that, in the full consciousness and embrace that by, let me just be attentive here, uh, we'll we will, the fruit of that is there, that we have that anchor, that Lord is present in us. And that's, unshakable, because if you don't have that, you will get shook. This world will shake you. It might not seem like, it's such a bad place right now, but just wait. Most of the world thought that way until the pandemic. And then so many people were like, oh yeah, no. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, Time to get real,
Yeah.
Yeah, do not compromise. A lot of devotees compromise their rounds, and then the path becomes very difficult. You can still make advancement, of course, but you're making it difficult for yourself, probably unnecessarily. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I take it pretty seriously, I guess. I really, it's not so much like I don't think of it in terms of something I have to do. Also, I think of it in terms of something I get to do. And just the more and more and more, the taste of the material world is just leaving and leaving and leaving, you know? I mean, you know, after being in the music scene for so long here in Rochester and like playing in bands and stuff like that, you know, I've, you know, there's so, I mean, there, believe me when I tell you that there are so many other things I could be doing that would be so much more exciting. But, but they do not satisfy the soul.
Yeah.
They do not satisfy the soul. You know, I can go out and play music and hang out with people and do all kinds of things, you know, and yet you will just be reliving the days that have gone by where you've done that over and over and over again. You run into your friends, you go to the same 10 places over and over again. And it's fun in the moment, you know, and but it never satisfies the soul, not really. And that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm getting into this so much more. And that's why I'm so grateful for you and other good teachers too, is because this is satisfying. Now, so many of my friends, I mean, a lot of them don't get it, but they will get it soon enough, I'm sure. So sorry. There we go. Sorry. So
Yeah.
I am, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I was just gonna say like 3 words, like, um, you know, people, we all come to that point, you know, of feeling the need for God, but some are very close to that and some are very, very far from that. So it's, you know, what to do.
Yeah.
We don't have any control over that. It's not, there's nothing that we can do that, you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to touch this person's heart. You know, what God is, he's taking care of their path, you know,
Yeah.
trust that. But when they're ready, yeah, whether it's us or someone else, you know, not for us to decide, doesn't really matter. You know, truth will come to you when you're ready for it. You know, it's facts.
Yeah.
But we should be sober about this life. And of course, obviously, we have to come to the platform of sobriety and real humanity. You know, morality. Then we can start making, you know, educated, sober, right, decisions about our life. And, you know,
Yeah.
am I being, you know, real? Am I, you know, living life the way that, you know, it's meant to be lived? You know, you
Yeah.
start asking questions about the soul and about spirit, you know, it comes to you. So
Yeah.
all in due course, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like bhakti is, for whatever reason, it's always been particularly um, of interest to people that are in the music scene or in a band, no matter what genre they play. You
Mm.
know, from the time I can kind of, I guess, trace it back to the, you know, the time when Jimi Hendrix came out with a cover that was like kind of like a Vishnu cover for one of his albums, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so from
Yeah,
that,
it's a universal form. That's Krishna's universal form is what that's imitating. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and that was in the 60s. So I guess from that point on you can trace it. And you know, when I was in my initial straight edge phase, when I was still in high school, yeah,
This
yeah,
right.
yeah,
There's yeah, that's Krishna and all the Vishnu forms and
yeah,
various.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I guess I was really part of the second wave of straight edge. like the
Mm.
scene of being straight edge. And that was when I was in high school. So that was, I'll just say like 94, 95, 96, 97. So it was so hard back then because you got to understand that we did not have the internet. The internet was like this brand new thing that only like a very few people were using. So everything was communicated by zines or flyers or like actual shows. Like you would literally see your friends like once a month, maybe twice a month at a show, and
Wow.
and you could get all your communication done then. And really there was just that was just such a golden age because as great as phones and technology is, there was something so foundational and so solid about being able to go to someone in person and talk to them in person. And we felt like, you know, this is the music, like this is our music that we like, this is our time, this is our music, and we're making this scene happen. And we did. And it took
Wow.
so much work. I mean, you had to get a job, get your license, get a car, you know, pay for everything, pay for gas to drive out to Buffalo, you know, or Syracuse. You know, I mean, upstate New York is it's hard to deal with in the wintertime, but like I was just saying, in the summertime, it's like it's where all the shows happen. It's when everything happens. And there's so many good bands from this area. I mean, there's still very good bands coming out 30 years later, you know, after my time, I guess you would say, you know, now that I'm an old fogey and I never go to shows anymore. I show up with my gray hair and hey guys, what's up? You know, just stay out of the pit at all costs. Just stay away from the pit. Just stand in the back with my binocular or something and my little tape recorder. So the straight edge scene has always been sort of there's always been a lot of interest in Bhakti-yoga. I think because of the lifestyle, because of the vegetarian vegan lifestyle, and because of the no drugs, no alcohol, no promiscuous sex. It just is like perfect. You know, it's like a hand in glove kind of scenario where you've got a bunch of people who maybe they don't really know what they believe in, but they're living by these principles already. And then you can kind of like point them in the direction or guide them in that direction of bhakti. So my story real quick is I was in the straight edge scene, but because of extraneous things, I got out of it. And, you know, I guess you would say 20 something years later, I'm back into it. And if anybody out there listening to this has any doubt, dude, you can get right back. You can get right back where you stopped. There is no set of rules. You know, if you want to start living a clean, straight edge lifestyle, then just do it. And there might be some people that say, well, you know, if you stop being straight edge, you can never be straight edge again. No, no. You can be straight edge. You can get right back into it. I mean, if this video reaches anybody, I want them to know that, you know, there's always going to be this elitist sort of clique of people who, you know, well, you're not straight edge because you drink coffee. I saw you drink coffee one time. Or you're not straight edge because I saw you picking the pepperoni off your pizza and then you ate the pizza. You're not straight edge. Or, oh, you know, I could go on and on about all these ridiculous things that people say, you know, and I mean, people have literally said that to me, you know, like I am not going to name names, but I remember it very clearly. Like, you know, back in the day, like I used to smoke cigarettes and, you know, like I don't know, like some guy saw me smoking a cigarette somewhere and everything, and I was probably like stressed out or whatever. And he's like, "Hey, you're not straight edge anymore because I saw you smoke that one cigarette that one time." And it's just like, no, 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 dude. Straight edge, of course, we do not smoke cigarettes, but straight edge is at least you're building towards something, and you're building towards a better future, and you're building towards your health, and you're building towards your spiritual strength. Strengthen the mind and strengthen the body. That's what it's about. It's really not about the scene or the cliques that you hang out with. It's not about the t-shirts that you wear, and it's not even about the music that you buy or the music that you listen to. It's about your thing right here. And I attain perfect peace and harmony through Krishna. And I came through it through the straight edge team. That's all I can tell you, you know. So Jai.
Amazing. Yeah. You know, everything that you're saying, it's fully applicable in the Krishna consciousness world as well. There's the understanding is that there's two types of faith, actually. It's almost like, again, like faith and faithfulness, right? There's this passive, imposed, external indoctrination sort of thing of a social convention. This is how our masters describe it. It's a social convention for you. So it's like, no, straight edge means this, or being a devotee means this and this, and like you're nitpicking details and neglecting the principle, the actual essence, because you're not in it for the essence. You're in it because some social convention pulled you, and you just followed what's going on externally without having the real type of faith is an internal awakening to something that resonates with your heart, and you follow that internal guidance, and that then is something very real, very solid, and so you don't get into these details, and you focus on the essence. And then also, this is another whole conversation, but just to touch on it really quick, of like, oh, what if you smoke a cigarette, or something, you do something that your principle says you're not supposed to, does that mean that you've relapsed or that you've fallen? No, it doesn't. And it's like the difference between, like we were discussing this once in Mayapur in our classes, the difference between like alcoholic and a devotee, both are recovering addicts, actually. The alcoholic is recovering from alcohol addiction, and the devotee is recovering from his addiction to impersonalism and materialism. And the idea is, you may stumble many times, but so long as you keep moving forward on the path, even if you're not moving forward, it seems like you're just totally moving backwards, that you're on the path, that you've signed up for it. Krishna says, even if one time my devotee says, Lord, from today on, I am yours, Krishna takes that very seriously. He never becomes impersonal like us. He never discounts something that we've done good for him because of something that bad that we've done. Like these people, it's like, oh, like you messed up once, so you're just going to throw out all of your good intentions, that you may have had. Yeah. Like that seems pretty unfair. It seems pretty impersonal. So Krishna's never like that. If you even if you never, chant again, you totally leave, Krishna will always be waiting. There's actually a really wonderful story of a Jamil, which you'll hear many times. That's exactly what happened to him. But Krishna was waiting. He waited for like 40 years to find an opening for him to reach his devotee again. And it was at death's doorstop that he finally was able to do it, and he saved him from that fearsome death
Mm.
and being, pulled by the reapers, and he gave him a second chance, and he took it seriously, and he took back up Krishna consciousness. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, even if one commits the most abominable activities, if he has dedicated himself to, he's signed up for the process of purification, and he has that sincerity, he's to be considered saintly, because I see him saintly. Therefore, if you refuse to see him saintly, you're offending me, because as my devotee, he's under my jurisdiction. Don't think that you understand everything that's going on in his heart. I'm there. I am active. That's enough. That's actually the only thing to it. If the Lord's active in your life, you are well situated, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It never ceases to amaze me how our own thoughts, or maybe even our closest friends, are always the ones who can really do us the most damage and kind of make us think, well, I am not good enough. I'm just not good enough. And that's just a lie,
Yeah.
So that made me just remember, actually, probably one of the guys that is like furthest from the straight edge scene. But such a good quote was from Jerry Garcia, when he said that ain't nobody messing with me but me. I just always think that is such a great quote. That's like that old time farmer wisdom back then. That's
Yeah, right.
that old school farmer wisdom. It's kind of crazy to think that geez, I guess he'd be what, like in his 70s by now, if not 80s, wouldn't he? I mean, that's like grandma and grandpa territory right there, like that's just so crazy when I think about that, like how old musicians are these days, you know. It's just kind of an interesting thing. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. I'm not gonna follow the squirrel, because that will take us
Yeah.
the whole deep thing.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, it's very true. We're our own best friend or worst enemy.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, shall we begin?
Yeah, do you want to do the invocations? Okay,
Yes,
cool.
yes.
Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master is opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful homage unto him. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai.
Jaya, Jaya. So I guess we left off with on page 3, with beginning at the Lord's abode is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Is that where we left
Yeah.
off? Oh, okay, good, good. Okay, now let me share screen here. Da-da. Okay. Ah, there it is. Very nice. Very nice. Do you want to read or would you like me to read, sir?
Sure, I'll start.
Okay.
The Lord's abode is described in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 20th verse, where it is stated that there is another eternal nature, the spiritual sky, which is transcendental to this manifested and non-manifested matter. The manifested worlds can be seen in the form of many stars and planetary systems, such as the sun and moon, but beyond this there is a non-manifested portion, which is not approachable by anyone in this body. And beyond that non-manifested matter is the spiritual kingdom. That kingdom is described in the Bhagavad Gita as supreme and eternal, never to be annihilated. This material nature is subjected to repeated creation and annihilation, but that part, the spiritual nature, remains as it is eternally. And that's so huge if we can just appreciate. Nobody knows this. Like, even the so-called spiritual people, they think that just unmanifested matter, that's spirit. Anything beyond the gross material senses, that's spirit, or that's spiritual. Or you're into energy, oh, you're spiritual. It's like, no, you're not. That's material. That's part of the material manifestation. Spirit is beyond the unmanifest cosmic energy, and it is not approachable by anyone in this body. Yeah, there's nothing that you can do with your body and mind, to get yourself there. There's no, mechanical means. It's only by the grace of God that that kingdom descends and touches your life, that spiritual sky. So, yeah, anyway, just knowing that there is a spiritual world beyond the beyond, that changes everything. That changes everything, because, then that there's something spiritual. It's not like what we're seeing and experiencing. This is not all that there is to the equation. There is a totally other world, transcendental world, and that's very exciting. Actually, we can start to plant our consciousness there. This is what we're doing when we chant Hare Krishna. We follow the spiritual path, right? When we make the decision to be straight edge, to walk, a good life, that will bring you up higher. But as far as spiritual, just being straight edge isn't spiritual. It's like, yeah, you're different. You might be going beyond this world, but you're still with the material universe is much, much bigger than just what we're able to see. Spiritual is something much, much greater. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Do you want to read the next paragraph or?
Yeah. The supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is also described in the Brahma Samhita as the abode of Chintamani. That abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, is full of palaces made of touchstone. So Chintamani means touchstone, or like a wish-fulfilling, philosopher's stone, right?
Okay.
There, the trees are called desire trees, and the cows are called surabhi, all wish-fulfilling entities, right? The Lord is served there by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. His name is Govinda, the primeval Lord, and he is the cause of all causes. There the Lord plays his flute. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like that of a beautiful cloud. On his head is a peacock feather. He is so attractive that he excels thousands of cupids. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a little hint of his personal abode, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna actually appears with all his paraphernalia and demonstrates his activities in Vrindavan, then at Mathura, and then at Dwarka. The subject matter of this book will gradually reveal all these activities. So here it is. We're finally like getting to the actual Krishna,
Yeah.
right? So much, of just philosophical, groundwork has been laid here. And now Prabhupada is finally presenting, this is Krishna. So, beyond all this material universe, with all the different avatars and expansions of Krishna that descend here to manage all the different strata of material existence. Beyond that, there is a spiritual world. And within that spiritual world, there are many planets, but the topmost planet where we see God in his original form, which is most intimate, the soul can exchange in the most intimate level. That is Krishna. And there's this beautiful, like breathtaking description of him. Right. So, finally getting to some juice.
Yeah.
All right. You can go.
Okay. All right. Okay. The family in which Krishna appeared is called the Yadu dynasty. This Yadu dynasty belongs to the family descending from Soma, the god in the moon planet. There are two different Kshatriya families of the royal order, one descending from the king of the moon planet and the other descending from the king of the sun planet. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he generally appears as the Kshatriya family because he is because he has to establish religious principles or the life of righteousness. The Kshatriya family is the protector of the human race, according to the Vedic system. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Lord Ramchandra, he appeared in the family descending from the sun god, known as the Raghu Vamsa. And when he appeared as Lord Krishna, he did so in the family known as the Yadu Vamsa. There is a long list of the kings of the Yadu Vamsa in the 9th canto, 24th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. All of them were great, powerful kings. Krishna's father's name was Vasudeva, son of Shurasena, descending from the Yadu dynasty. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not belong to any dynasty of this material world, but the family in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears becomes famous by his grace. For example, sandalwood is produced in the states of Malaya. Sandalwood has its own qualifications apart from Malaya, but because accidentally this wood is mainly produced in the states of Malaya, it is known as Malayan sandalwood. Similarly, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, belongs to everyone, but just as the sun rises from the east, although there are other directions from which it could rise, so by his own choice, the Lord appears in a particular family, and that family becomes famous.
Wow.
Yeah. So I cannot believe how much information he's putting in like one paragraph. It's so wild. Oh my goodness. It's like when you go to Wegmans and you get one of those homemade bread rolls that like it literally looks like it's like like just this little round like loaf of bread, but you cut into that thing, and one piece is enough to satisfy you for like hours, you know. All right, I'm gonna turn off the screen share and let's talk about these couple of paragraphs. Unless
Okay.
you want to read more, I don't know. There's a lot there already.
Maybe, well, maybe one more short paragraph. This is talking about the Yadu dynasty.
Yeah.
You want to read that one?
Yes. Get set up here. Okay.
As explained, yeah.
Okay, so okay, so yes, as explained above, when Krishna appears, all his planetary expansions appear with him. Krishna appeared along with Balarama or Baladeva, who is known as his elder brother. Balaram is the origin of Sankarsana, of the quadruple expansion. Balarama is also the plenary expansion of Krishna in this book. The attempt will be made to show that Krishna appeared in the family of the Yadu dynasty and how he displayed his transcendental characteristics. This is very vividly described in Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically the 10th canto, and thus the basis of this book will be the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I kind of want to keep reading. How are you feeling? Want to keep on going? You want to read?
Well, was there anything that in there that you that kind of struck you, or
I mean, just you know, I don't know what the Sankarsana is, and I don't know what the quadruple expansion is. So
that's what we were covering yesterday with the different expansions, like Vishnu.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Krishna, then Balaram, then from Balaram comes the quadruple expansion in the spiritual worlds of Mathura and Dwarka, and then from them there's another quadruple expansion, Vaikunta, and from them the Vishnu avatars or the Purusha avatars enter the material atmosphere as God. You know, that's God in the world. So yeah, and the whole dynasty, and this is a nice point. It's like this dynasty is there, and so a lot of people can hear about Krishna and just say, oh, well, you know, how can you say he's God? He was born of these parents who were born of these, you know, just another person. It's like, well, if you actually look at his birth, he didn't exactly take birth. He appeared before them as this four-armed Vishnu, and then he returned to this original form of a little sweet baby Krishna. Supreme sweetness. So it's like, it seems like God is, it seems like Krishna is subject to some condition or some situation or some state, but he's not. He always remains totally independent, right? And this is an important point. And what's nice about what Prabhupada, he's using the example of sandalwood. It's like sandalwood has its own qualifications apart from Malaya. But because accidentally, it just so happens that you find this wood there. It's like it just so happens that you find Krishna in the Yadu dynasty. That doesn't mean his existence is contingent on them. He's fully independent. He can appear wherever, whenever, however he wants. And he does that. It's like last night I was sharing this line from the Ramayana, which is, mentioned here, the Kshatriya line of Lord Ramachandra. Right? That's described in the Ramayana.
Yes.
Which is ancient. It's ancient to Krishna's time. Like this was ancient history for Krishna's time.
Yeah.
Because it's about 1,000,000+ years ago from right now. It's like the oldest epic. And so there's this wonderful, beautiful line where Lakshman is consoling Sita because Sita is kind of under this spell in order to draw out the drama of this Leela. Sita is the goddess of fortune herself. She's the supreme feminine energy of God. So she's never subject to illusion, but in order for the story to really churn the emotions of our heart, they take these different positions that appear, and it's the same thing, it appears like, oh, he's just a part of this dynasty, or oh, it appears Sita is just a normal girl. But it's not. They're always fully independent. So it seemed like Ram was in trouble and needed their help. And Ram had told Sita and Lakshman to stay in the cottage, like, don't leave here. Lakshman will protect you. And he made them promise. And Sita's like, Lakshman, you have to go. You have to go save him. Their help. And Lakshman just turns to her and he's like, Ram doesn't need us. We need Ram. God doesn't need us, he doesn't, it's not like he finds himself in the Yadu dynasty and he's like, oh, like now I need this and no. We need him, and therefore he appears to us in this way that is very relatable for us. It's very wonderful. And he's glorious. We call him Yadava because we love glorifying his appearance in the Yadu dynasty. It's very wonderful for us. It's personal and relatable.
Yeah.
So like that, yeah. Krishna is always independent, but he comes in the guise of being a part of this world.
Yeah. So it's not. So that is where the Bhagavad Gita. These are the two families in the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? That Arjuna is kind of stuck in between, because Krishna is actually Arjuna's cousin, right?
He is. These aren't those two families. I don't think the Raghu Vamsha is extant at the time of the Kurukshetra war. I don't know what happened to them actually. The battle of Kurukshetra it's a civil war in a sense of it's one family house divided, and that family is
Okay.
connected with the Yadus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Krishna, his aunt was Arjuna's mother. Kunti was the sister of Vasudev, and Vasudev is the father of Krishna, also known as Vasudev.
Yeah,
means the son of Vasudev. And so that's the house of the Yadus.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Kurus, Arjuna is the house of the Kurus. So Kunti was part of the Yadu dynasty, and they married into the Kuru dynasty.
Okay.
Which are descendants of Puru. Anyway, there's a lot. It's a huge family tree. Huge family tree. It's something we could look up. I know the Bhagavatam, again, the ninth canto of the Bhagavatam has the whole lineage. I'm not even close to ninth canto yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But people that have read it will tell you it's just genealogy for days, just days and days. But
that's so interesting that the
yeah.
Bible has the same thing too. That's so interesting. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, and it seems like why? Like, what's the use? It's just a list of names. Why is this important? Why is this in the Bible? But the please, yeah.
I think what it is that lineage in the Bible actually does go back to Adam and Eve. And so after the flood, which it's also interesting that there's a flood story as well. I mean, there's so many parallels. It just gets so ridiculous. Like, it's almost like you could just like name something and there's a parallel for it. Like, literally just something, anything you can think of, as a good Bible Baptist that you're going to learn in Bible school, just name it. And it's probably in the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Ramayana or the Bhagavad Gita somewhere. I mean, there's so many parallels that it just kind of makes you think. So, but yeah, there's a couple of different places in the Bible where it does the lineage and it traces it back to Adam and Eve. There's pre-flood. There's actually pre-flood and post-flood lineage. And what the point is kind of the same point of, it's kind of the same concept of what we were talking about a couple of shows ago of the secession, the disciplic secession. It kind of, it's like the Western world's version of that, I guess you would call it. But the King James Bible, the 1611 Bible, is interesting because there's so many things in that Bible that they took out, and there's so many things in that Bible that was added unto. And I don't want to get into that right now, but I think this about that, okay? Just to set the story straight for everybody, I think this, that God came out with that Bible, no matter how man messed around with it. That's still the word of God to me,
Yeah.
And the message, you cannot outthink, outwit God. You cannot do it in this life. You as a person, people, thing cannot do it. So it might not be 100% perfect, but that Bible is still what I would consider the word of God. Why mess with it,
Yeah. It's like, again, it's, God doesn't need us. He's not dependent on, it's like, oh, if they don't get my words right, I'm not going to be able to work in the world, No, like, we need God. We're dependent on his word. Yeah. So it's like, he can touch, if he wants to touch a soul, he will touch you. So if anyone reads the Bible, it doesn't really matter what, on one hand, it doesn't really matter what version it is. If you're looking for God, he will, because really the way he's talking to you is between the lines, right? Like, he's entering in the empty spaces in your life, right? Like that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's this idea of chastity that needs to be there, because that's what keeps the succession alive. And if we deviate from that, we lose our connection. Then he won't be speaking to us anymore, because we have been unfaithful, right? So again, faithfulness, very important. Yeah.
We're at almost at the 5-minute mark. Do you want to read some more, or
Yeah.
is there anything else you wanted to get into?
I was just looking, and it looks like the rest, well, the next few pages are all on this topic, on the same topic of Krishna Kata. Which is kind of shifting gears. But yeah, we can read. Yeah, we've got 5 minutes. Let's read a paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. The pastimes of the Lord are generally heard and relished by liberated souls. Those who are conditioned souls are interested in reading stories of the material activities of some common man. Although similar narrations describing the transcendental activities of the Lord are found in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas, the conditioned souls still prefer to study ordinary narrations. They are not so interested in studying the narrations of the pastimes of the Lord Krishna. And yet, the descriptions of the pastimes of Lord Krishna are so attractive that they are relishable for all classes of men. There are 3 classes of men in this world. One class consists of liberated souls, another consists of those who are trying to be liberated, and the third class consists of materialistic men. Whether one is liberated or is trying to be liberated, or is even grossly materialistic, the pastimes of Lord Krishna, are worth studying.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Really wonderful, though. And that's actually, he's drawing from a few things, but there's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that's saying that. There's actually 2 verses that say that whatever you're into, basically, hearing about Krishna is the way to go, is actually the best thing for it. It will fulfill all of your desires, whether those desires are materialistic, whether they are in this subtle plane of you're interested in liberating yourself, you're trying to be straight edge, and you're trying to advance yourself. Ultimately, where that's going to take you is liberation from material energy. You'll become more and more renounced, in a sort of just cold renunciation way. Or if you're in the class of bhakti, of devotion, that you're not interested in any gross or subtle material desire, you're interested in serving God, then pastimes of Krishna will be especially worthwhile and relishable. So he's starting this paragraph saying pastimes of the Lord are generally heard and relished by the liberated souls. It means by those who are on the platform of being able to serve God, right? They're not anymore interested, or to say they're not acting on the platform of material activities. And it's like being in this world and conditioned in this world, that doesn't disqualify you from being a devotee. I hope that's clear.
Oh yeah.
But when you do become a devotee, you're automatically liberated. Becoming a devotee, it means you're acting for transcendence. You're acting on the platform of transcendence. Everything that you do is by its nature, it's on that platform. So even if your consciousness isn't fully there, the activity has that nature. You chant your rounds, even if you're not chanting with the consciousness of like, Lord, my life is totally yours. Thoughts may come near me, but they're not able to touch me, because I'm totally fixed on you, and I'm only seeing you when I close my eyes. It's like, we're not there yet, but the chanting itself is pure. So the chanting is devotional service.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more that we purify ourselves through the process of hearing and chanting, this is the process itself. Like the more that we relish that very thing, it's like the means and the end are the same in bhakti.
Yeah.
And what is that? Hearing about Krishna and chanting Krishna. So, and then he's giving a backdrop because the Bhagavatam also maybe the same portion, the Bhagavatam. Yeah, I want to say the first chapter of the second canto. Shukadeva Goswami is talking about this. It's where Shukadeva begins to speak to Maharaj Parikshit. He begins answering these big questions. And he's saying, the people that are interested in these ordinary narrations, they don't have the bandwidth to inquire about spirit. They never make these big questions, but here you're making them. And that's all auspicious. It's going to benefit everyone by you, even though you're in like an insignificant little particle of spirit. When you take the spiritual life, you're benefiting the whole universe. So, yeah, this path is all auspicious. It's auspicious for anyone that comes in contact with it.
Yeah.
But we see how there's like this aversion to Krishna Katha. It's like, how many people are watching these kind of videos? Not many, but how many people are watching just total nonsense?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Jay,
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a confession there? No.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to admit. It's like, yeah, we like that, so it's attractive. Like, why? We don't have a real taste yet. We're chewing the chewed. It's like what you had mentioned this at the beginning. Something to that same effect, right? About the musicians just like doing the same.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like the music scene, like isn't exactly the most spiritual place to be. Like this, and it's the crossover is right there too, because what is selling the most these days musically is like just the worst thing, the most corrosive thing ever, and I mean that's the stuff that sells the most units. They call them units. So it's no longer music, it's just a product.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and that's without going on too terrible long about that, but no, that is so true. That's where it is right there, is how the study of the past times of Lord Krishna is going to help anybody and everybody just by them wanting to hear about it. I mean, that's it right there. I mean, I had a taste for this. I thought it was completely wacky at first, but I said, you know what? I have literally tried everything else. Why not try this? And holy moly, here we are. And here we are doing it, living it day by day.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense. And it, there are just principles that you live by, that you literally live by day, that just make everything so much better, So I think that that's a great place to pick up for tomorrow. I'm very excited about tomorrow's show. It looks like we are going in a very, very interesting direction in the book now. And I think things are going to start heating up and getting a little more exciting here. And yeah, I'm super stoked for it. So let's say our prayers here real quick, and then we'll close this show. And this show is actually pretty good too. I thought this was pretty good too. We got to touch on music a little bit, and I'm sure we will again in the future too. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'd like to wish you the best and say Hare Krishna to everybody. Jai. We'll see you soon.